Space and Rocket Review. Space and Rocket Review. You in the hat. You two girls. Tell your friends. And it's ladies' night at the EJSA Mission Control. Tell your friends. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Space and Rocket Review. I am EJ. I am your host today. I'm the only one here. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is all fake. I'm the only one. It's just me. It's just me. Party on, chat. Do we have a ladies' night? Geese, and we don't have a ladies' night here. I don't think that's a thing. How are you guys doing? Happy Monday, I guess. Got a couple of things to talk about here and there for space news. Are you AI? No, synth, get it right. You know what? That's such an old joke at this point. I don't think kids get it. So, EJ is the lady? Oh, yeah. 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 Yeah, can you tell? We're not that old. Fallout 4 came out over 10 years ago. Hey, Rosebud, how are you? Never get Brimo behind the scenes. Yeah, that's right. You see a tortoise upside down. What do? Whose tortoise is it? Why is it upside down? Yes, Kuju man. I am a lady, a launch appreciator, a dude that yells. Yep, at them. Yep, yeah, that's me. Where's your wig? Whoa, 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 whoa. Hey, my hair's growing back. All right, it's growing back. Look at that. That's pretty good, man. That's pretty good. That's better than it was. It's still bad, but it's better. We're progressing. Hey, Iowa Matt, what's up, dude? It's getting there. It doesn't look as bad as it's. See, that's not that bad. It's getting there. It's getting there. Taking the hair pills? No, just I changed up what shampoo I was using. I have shampoo with biotin in it, so yeah, not torturing hair, I guess, as bad as it was. Tell us when it starts growing forward. Hey, I didn't say it was better. I said it was not as bad. All right. Time to cut your losses? Nah, Tessa. I decided, guys, just on a quick side note, on a personal hygiene note, that I would rather go get a hair transplant or something rather than go bald. I've decided that. So that's probably what we'll end up doing at some point, because every dude my age that's in their late 30s has a huge beard and is bald. And nah, we're not doing that. We're not. Yeah, dude, I'd spray paint it before we do that. Every dude. If you watch the Flame Trench, Jack, Max, me, Sawyer still has his hair, and that's good, you know. Go to Turkey, yeah, I know. So, yeah, I decided I'd rather do something about it than not, because this ain't it, dude. That ain't it. So we'll start with the shampoo. We'll go from there. EJ's hair and Ford's have something in common: fix or repair daily. That doesn't even make sense. What happened to Flame Trench this week? Flame Trench this week is happening. I just signed up for it. Are you talking about last week? I canceled it. That was it. Flame Trench not being here is entirely on me. It has nothing to do with NSF. It has nothing to do with Kevin. It has nothing to do with anybody. I canceled it. I didn't. I was not having a good day, and I don't cancel shows like that lightly. I really don't. I needed Friday, and we'll just leave it at that. EJ doesn't want to be aerodynamic. No, no. Reentry vehicles go faster than jets that are more aerodynamic. I want to be aerodynamic in the hypersonic regime, which means we need a lot of disrupted airflow, and air provides that. See, you don't understand. Jake, that see, that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, dude. But I thought, so I'll tell you guys what happened on Friday. On Friday, I came into chat a little bit, so about 2.5 hours late, give or take. And there were people in chat that were upset that I've been late for the stream a lot lately. And usually I don't pay it any mind. People make jokes that I'm not punctual, etc., etc. I try as hard as I possibly can to be. Yeah, I'll be honest. Some of the stuff that got said, I mean, it's not really very often that stuff irks me on the internet because I've been doing this for a long time. Yeah, it pissed me off, and that's why I canceled Flame Trench. I understand that I need to be here, Jake. I get it. What I'm telling you is that real life has made that a little bit more difficult. Call it paid time off. I figure that the 14 years of me being more or less punctual on streaming and giving you at least 50 hours a week of said stream would buy me some good grace in this regard. I was sorely mistaken in this matter, and I'm a little bit disappointed. So that's why I didn't stream on Friday, because anybody that's going to sit here and try to put my work before my family can get fucked. How about that? I don't take time away from stream lightly, but I've had to not be here for like the past 2 weeks. Or past 2 months.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
There's stuff that's way out of my control that I am having trouble handling. You could say that's my fault as a person, that's fine. But you learn and you grow so you don't make these mistakes again. All right? So yeah, that's where I was on Friday. I was frankly flabbergasted by some of the stuff that people said in my chat about me not being here. You know what, dudes? It hurt. It pissed me off. You know what? Like I said, it's like I was saying on the Kerbal stream earlier. It didn't hurt. You pissed me off, and that's really hard to do. I don't get mad on the internet. I rage at Battlefield every once in a while, but that's just nerd rage. That's different. This genuinely made me very, very mad, and the reason why I canceled Flame Trench, it's entirely on me. The reason why I did it and the reason why I canceled the stream is because if I did, I would have gone on here and I would have said something that I didn't mean. Is that on me? Sure. You want to blame me for it? That's fine. I'm not sorry about what I did. And I won't be. The reason why I haven't been here, Jake, is I'll put it very bluntly just in case people don't know. The reason why I haven't been here is that my wife almost died 2 months ago. Died. Gone. She almost died. She's about a couple hours away from dying. Now, thank God I called the ambulance and we figured out what was wrong and Brimo's still here. But for the past 2 months, I haven't been here because I've been basically running the house and the family by myself because Bree can't. She She had surgery that made it so she couldn't really do much. She could basically just sit there. And that sucks. It sucks for her because she can't do anything. But, you know, hey, the dog still needs to be fed. The dishes still need to be done. The house still needs to be cleaned. Bills still need to be paid. I basically assumed all of that. And I've been doing that, all of that, for like the past 2 months. Okay? Is it a lot? Yes. Is my workload way higher than it has been? Yeah, sure. Does that mean I've been streaming less? Yes. We're back at a point now where I can get back to doing what we do here. But if anybody's going to try to sit here and weigh this against my family, no, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. Yeah, I don't want people like that here. All right. So I figure I'd tell you guys, I apologize for canceling Flame Trench. I was mad, very mad. Hey, Hoth, 14-month resub. Willie, thank you for the 26. Fractal, thank you for the 103. I appreciate you guys being with me this whole time. You guys know good and well that I wouldn't skip time away from stream unless I absolutely needed to. Yeah, Stuart, these weren't trolls. That's what got me, dude. They were regular viewers. That's what made me so ridiculously mad. If it's, I don't care what randoms say, but viewers that have been, a couple of viewers have been watching the stream for over 10 years. That's what got me, dude. I'm just like, I don't want to be here. I'm gonna go do anything but this. Yeah, it is, Geeson. And it's whatever. It is what it is. I'm not sorry about what I did, and I'm not apologizing. So, yeah. This week, we'll just get back to the regular schedule and go. Oh, yeah, one man. Don't worry. It's been taken care of. Yeah, no, guys. The vast majority of you being cool about it, but to see regular viewers just do that, it really just really bummed me out. Hey, Telstar, what's up, dude? You have all the right to personal time. You don't have to explain it to us. I feel like I owe you an explanation just in case, you know, but, you know, Telstar, maybe you're right. Maybe that's on me because I gave a very good explanation. I was very transparent about why I wasn't streaming as much, and it still came to bite me in the ass. So maybe you're right. Maybe I don't owe you guys nothing. I don't know. That doesn't seem right to me, though. I found a great YouTube channel that explains engineering with rocket stuff and physics sprinkled in. Could be a good teaching tool called The Efficient Engineer. Yeah, maybe. Telstar, thank you for gifting a membership. But yeah, guys, I just figure I owe you an explanation for Friday, and that's what happened. Anyway, Snarfer gifted 20. You guys don't need to do that. I appreciate you. Look, the way I see it at this point, the people that understand what's going on, and that, which is like 95% of you guys, you're bearing with me, and I appreciate it. And I know who you are. Snarf, god dang, dude. Gifted, how many was that? 20? Gifted 20, and then you've been a member for 10 months. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. So, yeah, that's what happened, dudes. And Jake, that's where I've been. I'm not sorry, and I'm not apologizing.
Listen, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Starting the hair transplant fund.
Hey, don't worry about that. I'll take care of it. It's just a stream, though. I have good time chatting for you. So one man, once again, this is why I got kind of confused by this, because guys, with the exception of May and June of this year, I've been working 50-plus hour weeks since more or less 2015. Every week. This job requires 50 to 60 hours every week. And are there people that work more? Yeah, sure. I'm sure your shift is way worse than this. This is not the hardest job around, I will admit. But it does require a lot of time. And yeah, I thought people would understand that, but it's okay. It is what it is. Anyway, shall we get into space news? Let's be adults here, and we'll turn the page. And yeah, figured like I owed you an explanation as to why I wasn't here on Friday, but this week I have cleared wide open, with the exception of a couple of things in the mornings that shouldn't hamper me too much. On Thursday, I might be a little bit late. Got to go up in the city again. We'll see what happens. But yeah, this week we should be good. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate all the kind words. Like I said, the vast majority of you guys get what's going on, and I can't thank you enough from the bottom of my heart for bearing with me. It really does weigh heavy on my heart not being here, but that doesn't matter. Like, what are you gonna do? I'm not gonna put this before Bree and Titan. Sorry, that's not happening. Yeah, gamer. Thanks, man. I appreciate it, dudes. Anyway, I thought you were pissed because of Slick 6. Guys, look. Slick 6 is just a launch pad. Am I a little bummed out that the pad got demolished? But yeah, of course. You know, but who cares? Who cares? They're building a new one on it. It'll be fine. It'll be better. It doesn't matter. It's not like they were gonna restore it for the space shuttle or something. That's not happening. So I'm just happy it's getting used. If you really want my honest to God opinion.
Discovery,
go at throttle. I appreciate it. And once again, thank you for all the kind words, boys. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Suni. Yeah, the vast majority of you guys get it, and that's, you know what? That's very reassuring. I just, dudes, if I had hit that live button on Friday, I would have said something I don't mean, and I don't want to put you guys in that position. I don't want to put myself in that position. So I just said, see you guys on Monday, and here we are. All right. So, yeah, Trick Jumper. It's your wife's been dealing with a bone infection, multiple hospitalization surgeries. Doctor's trying to balance family work at home and really hard. Yeah, it's tough, dude. It's tough. It's tough, especially when, you know, the expectation that I set myself was that I need to be here 50 hours a week. It's been tough. But we're getting over it now. Let's lock in for this week and let's have some fun. Your reaction to the Slick 6 getting blown away is the best thing ever. That was a genuine reaction. I swear. I didn't like that. I'm not going to lie to you, but what are you going to do, dude? What are we going to do? Is sitting here and getting all pissy about it, is that going to bring Slick 6 back? No. SpaceX is going to bring Slick 6 back, and they're going to use it to launch Falcon Heavy, from what I understand. So, hey, whatever, dude. It's better than it's sitting there and doing nothing.
Oh, this is space. I'm in space.
Fair. Yeah. Thank you. Sup, 52-month resub for Mr. P90 over there. But that's like 10 hours daily on work days. Visualize before Bree had that ectopic pregnancy, dude. I was working noontime to 10, sometimes longer. Most of the time I would work noontime to about 1, 2 in the morning. It was 10-hour minimum a day. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. And then on Fridays, you know, you flip to Flame Trench and we play Battlefield, or, you know, we don't do racing anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. You know, we do racing, we do all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I used to play After Hours every night, a different game. Yeah, dude, that was pretty much the expectation up until then. I mean, I got to get back into it, but, you know, we'll slow roll it. Sunni, it's so cool you still remember me after all these years. Well, that's the thing, dudes. And that's what bummed me out so much about what happened. Like, I don't mean to talk about it again, but I don't just want viewers. Like, I want people that I can talk to, that I can have a relationship with. It makes it easier to teach things if I know a little bit about you. Like, if you like cars, then it becomes way easier to explain this stuff, right? So I make it a thing to remember, to remember people and to see, you know, to build repertoire with people. That's my thing. That's what I do. I don't just teach people. Sorry, Flavia, that's my fault. No Factorio. I have a Factorio save going, Dadu. We can play it, I don't know. I'm not gonna do after hours tonight because we gotta get up for the Starfall. Or the Sky Starfall mission. The Starfall demo mission at 6 in the morning tomorrow. I'll talk more about that during Space News, but maybe we'll dump into some after hours Battlefield sometime this week. We'll see. Hey, Ren, 8-month resub. But I do have a Factorio save going. I basically just set up a Volcanus base and got our artillery pits. And I've been just blowing away bugs with artillery, which is very, 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 very satisfying. JP, I'm new. I joined up during Artemis 2. I can tell by your chat that you built an awesome community. You've earned the time away. Thanks, JP. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, no. Whether you've been just picking up the stream from Artemis 2 or... JP, I have viewers that started watching me well over a decade ago. I've been streaming for about 14 years. So, yeah, no, that's cool. Thank you for recognizing that. Yeah, no. I love what I do, guys. I'm not going to stop. Tooth funds, or your choice. Thanks, Hale. The tooth thing, believe it or not, is under control. The reason why I've had such pain with my teeth, dudes, is because I have another cavity on the very back molar back here, and
Oh, this is Space. I'm in space.
Nova gifted 10. Thank you. And it got down to the nerve. Well, it didn't get down to the nerve. When they went to try and fill the cavity on last week, the decay uncovered the nerve, and then that tooth started hurting something fierce. They did seal it up because my dentist is a G, and he's like, I don't, do the root canal later. You don't need to do it now. So he sealed it up, but it still hurts. Once again, this is all the cavities that I've had. I've had probably 6 cavities sealed up in the past month. I've been doing all that on top of everything that's been going on. I've had 1 crown, and now I need another one because I didn't brush my teeth when I was younger. Yeah, I brush my teeth every day now. But yeah, this is all what's left of not brushing your teeth. Did racing get under your skin that bad? The Le Mans race I was not happy about, dude, but that's more because I don't have the patience that I usually have because of current events. I'm not as patient as I usually am. I don't have the patience that I usually have, dude. And like I said, that's more on me, but when people send you a DM the day after and say, we don't want to race anymore, okay, message received. We're not doing this anymore because you can't rage quit out, even though we do that all the time. It sends a pretty clear message. So yeah, no, I'm not. I think I'm done with doing Assetto Corsa and Friday Night Racing. We might do other racing. I don't know. Yeah. That was not a pleasant DM to wake up to the day after racing, but, denture fun. Thank you, Bozo. Don't drink after others. Lots of tooth decay is bacterial and spreads from drinking and eating after others. Oh. Hey, Vargon, you have so many interests that you also have. Your streams are dangerous for me when it comes to try to focus on stuff. That helped way more than you think. I'm glad. Well, that's good. I don't know. Maybe we'll do racing in the future, guys, but I don't. Did I rage quit out of the Le Mans race? Yeah, I did. I got bumped and I got rattled and I got pissed off. That happens. But like, as long as we're talking about all this stuff, like, if I'm racing Friday Night Racing, dudes, and this happens to somebody else, they can rage quit out with impunity. Meanwhile, if it happens to me, I have to sit there. I have to sit there and race the entire race in last, 3 laps down. And that's, guys, I'll be honest with you, no one wants to see that. That's not fun to watch at all. Is that on me for needing to practice more? Yeah, sure, but I don't have time to do any of that. I don't have time to practice. Other viewers have time to practice. Other viewers could, you know, if you're just watching, you can rage quit out. You could just leave. I am not afforded that luxury. And so I think it's best if we just take a break and just not do it anymore for the time being. Suni, I helped you through high school and college, including 3 breakups. Oh, I'm glad I could have helped, dude. Sure. Well, let's get back to helping. Have you ever played Red Wreckfest? Yeah, of course. Yeah, if guys, I'll be honest, if I do racing, it's probably going to be iRacing, and I'm probably going to race solo, or maybe race with 1 or 2 other people. I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet, to be honest, because I haven't really paid racing any mind. Yeah. I'd love to do racing again, though. But honestly, it's kind of ruined for me right now. I don't really want to. I don't really have any interest. I'll watch races and stuff. The NASCAR race is pretty cool. I only caught the end of it, though. I checked on my phone what the positions were, and I turned on the race, and I was like, oh, a driver that I like is near the front with 12 laps to go. Oh, now he's not. Oh, shut it off. I don't know, Aitor. I'd rather just play Battlefield with the community at night for after hours, like on Fridays. I think that's much more fun. You like watching racing at times for sure? Well, I'll find other ways to do it, dude. I'm not doing it that way anymore. That doesn't work. Yeah, something like that, Nova. If Sawyer and Max are around, and Ryan, I would love to. Maybe get some Hunt the Streamer in before GTA 6. I don't know. I'll figure it out. VMNG streams are always a treat. Yeah, sure. Lev, I think this is a good time to say that you love space even more. I like this. Now that I love space even more, I like the space shuttle more. You help boost my English. Genuinely, thank you. Yeah, no problem, dude. No problem. Do what I can. All right. Have you heard anything from Pi? I talked to Pi over the weekend, Sawyer. Yeah. Just pretend to retire and be a broadcaster for Friday Night Racing. Yeah. Give me 1 second. I keep thinking about jumping back into No Man's Sky. Could have some fun with that. I don't know, maybe. Did you see that K-Mag and Gregson? Yeah, I did, cousin. That was pretty funny. All right, dudes. That's enough about me. Let's get into space stuff. So, check this out, guys. Over the weekend, Pegasus barge was carrying the Nancy Roman telescope, and I gotta flip that off. Give me 1 second. All right, there we go. Space news. The Pegasus barge, which is usually for carrying SLS core stages, was carrying the Nancy Roman Space Telescope to the VAB for launch on a Falcon Heavy. Watch, you'll see it. Yep, there it is. All right. Grace Roman is a infrared. It's an infrared Earth, stellar observation satellite. So it's kind of like a much better version of Hubble. Hubble is still invisible light. This is infrared, but yeah, it's a space telescope that is. Let's put it to you like this: if Hubble is 480p, this is 1080p. Okay, it's not like 4K or 8K like James Webb is, but it's almost there. It's pretty damn good. It is scheduled to launch no earlier than August 30th from that launch pad right there on a Falcon Heavy. So that's in about two months, give or take. Question, why do you have to bring it into the VAB? That's probably just where they're storing it until Falcon Heavy is ready to go. Yeah, it has a much bigger field of view compared to Hubble, that's right. I didn't realize that SpaceX made their barge twice as wide as Pegasus. They are both the same length. Oh yeah, yeah. Pegasus, yeah. Pegasus is just designed for an SLS core. The barge is SpaceX's what's the name of it? You'll thank me later. It's a little bit bigger than that. Yeah, Creeper, that's exactly it. Mm-hmm. Cool. Anyway, so yeah, that's down at the Cape. It's going to launch on the 30th of August. So yeah, we got some time. It's about 2 months away. So another thing here, guys, is the Starfall demo. Speaking of stuff that's launching soon, this is launching tomorrow at 6:43 a.m. This is the Starfall demo. It's launching on a Falcon 9. And the Starfall demo is SpaceX's mass-produced re-entry vehicle designed to autonomously transport valuable customer experiments and other payloads safely back to space from Earth, including on-orbit manufacturing. Starfall is a cylindric-shaped capsule approximately 0.75 meters tall with a diameter of 3.1 meters, weighing approximately 2,100 kilos, and are capable of carrying a 100-kilogram down mass of payload. It is designed to be carried on Starship flights. Yeah, Aqualex, I don't know what's wrong with that message, but whatever, I'll allow it. Yeah, it's near infrared. Yeah, close enough. Give me one moment. Anyway, sorry about that. Needed to shoot out a message. So, guys, I'm gonna be here for Starfall. I want to see this. Knowing SpaceX, hopefully we get some good views. Starfall is basically just a heat shield. It's just a heat shield with like a little module on the back. So what SpaceX, I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sure what the plan with these things are, but they said, you know, on orbit manufacturing, etc., etc. Give me one moment. I'm just getting the right pictures up. These things are just little babby. They're little tiny heat shields here. Take a look. And what these things are designed to do is be deployed out of Starship and attached to a sat bus that could be used for on-orbit manufacturing that'll put whatever in this thing and it'll bring it back down.
Discovery,
Are you doing the NSF coverage for this? No, I figure I was just going to come in on stream. I didn't sign up for it. Wonder what the re-entry control of Starfall will be like. Yeah, that's why I'm kind of curious to see this mission. I really don't get what this is for. Like Starship here, I mean, this is Reddit refuses embed because it's a gigantic pile of trash platform. And they embedded a SpaceX picture onto their website, which is funny. These Starfall satellites are supposed to be in a gigantic Starlink sat bus, and they can carry a bunch of them, and they can use them for on-orbit manufacturing. And then the shields will detach. The satellite will do the deorbit burn, and the shields will detach and re-enter. It's a science, basically a science container. Yeah, science container with a heat shield. They're literally playing career mode. But yeah, SpaceX really hasn't offered much more about what this thing actually does. So, like they say on-orbit manufacturing and whatnot, but what that could potentially mean is like synthesizing drugs in microgravity, like trying to make, you can make more potent drugs in space in the microgravity environment. And that goes for pretty much any type of plant. When plants grow, if you can get them to grow in a microgravity environment, plants can actually produce higher yields. And the reason why they produce higher yields is because a lot of a plant's effort is used to grow higher, right? So you can get more leaves, so you get more sunlight, so you can do more photosynthesis, right? But if you want to grow higher, you have to grow, you have to make the stem bigger, for instance, right? Like a tomato plant has to have, the stem needs to be thicker, or a tree, for instance, right? On orbit, you don't need to do that because there's no gravity to work against. So the plants actually give you better yields because they just focus on growing. They don't need to grow in any particular direction. You could just focus on doing that photosynthesis thing, and not a lot
Discovery,
of the trees' power, so to speak, or energy is used on growing upwards to get more sunlight. You don't have to worry about that. In microgravity, the sun's just there. So, it could be used for that. It could be used for drug synthesization. I don't know. There's a bunch of different things. An experiment on the shuttle program proved that you can make more potent yield of drugs if you make them, if you try to synthesize them in space. So who knows? They're just going to pick them up out of the water. I don't know what the trajectory is for this exact mission. If you look at next spaceflight, it shows a southeastern trajectory. That looks like, with this ground track here, and that flight azimuth, that looks like polar. So I'm not 100% sure what this mission is doing. Yeah, there you go. I mean, it's not far off from what I just said, but all right. Hey, George, with the 11-month resub, thank you. You could easily fit large inflatable life rafts in those. Oh, that's cool. SpaceX is getting into the pizza delivery business. Yeah. See last. What's up, Belgium? Could they use it to test heat shields for Starship? Would be cheaper to send it in different re-entry profiles. I think that launching a Starship is the cheapest way to test the Starship heat shield. I do believe these are ablator heat shields, not tile-based. And if it's using ablation, then yeah, it doesn't really have much to offer for fully reusable heat shields. Guys, I'll be honest with you, I don't really understand why SpaceX is doing this. I don't get it. Why do this? Why do this at all when, you know, when you have Starship coming? Starship is a fully reusable heat shield. These are not reusable heat shield. And while the application isn't exactly the same, it's still Department of Defense. Yeah, that's probably it. It's launching on a Falcon 9 tomorrow at 6:43 a.m. Eastern, Argonne. I want to be here for this. That's why after Space News, I'm going to go to bed. Not because I don't want to do after hours, but I want to be here for that. Defense orbital supply delivery. Yeah. Yeah, there you go, Aqualex. Yeah, so, I mean, okay, there's defense applications for sure. First IPO-related mission? I don't know. Drone deployer. Oh. Can you imagine? Oh, that's diabolical, dude. Can you imagine that? Oh, no. Okay, Bob, I think I realized what they're going to do with these things. Can you imagine? I don't really delve too much
Discovery,
into
go at throttle up.
this particular thing. So this is Lucas. Lucas is a subsonic one-way cruise missile, right? And yes, that is a Starlink antenna on the back. Fellas. Oh, look! It's just the exact diameter of the heat shield that Starfall is. Yeah, you could stack a bunch of those on top of each other behind the heat shield. I guess that solves the overflight rights issues. Oh, that's diabolical, dude. That's not even like that's so screwed up, dude. That was just a guess, guys. I don't know, but that seems right. Can you imagine if you have like a row of 5 of those things coming down on the heat shield, parachutes deploy, right? All the engines activate, and 5 of them just pop. Oh, that's up. That is awful. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. Here, catch. Yeah, that's. Jeez. Rods from the Gods 2, Electric Boogaloo. Cheapers, creepers. That there's got to be some like Geneva Convention against doing that. That's diabolical. What if a whole Starship V4 lands and deploys a lot of drones? Well, yeah, then you just gave your enemy a starship. Yeah, you could deploy a swarm out of the back of this thing, dude. Oh, that's diabolical, dude. That's so screwed up. Anyway, yeah, hopefully we'll see what's good with that tomorrow. Hopefully it'd be cool if SpaceX gave us some views. They probably won't, but yeah, Geeson, that's why I'm like maybe not, but interesting, Aqualux. Guess that makes you diabolical. Thought it was kind of obvious. I don't know. All right, so next thing is coming from Blue here. Let's take a look. Let's see what Blue's up to. Continuous sunlight is scarce on the moon unless you know where to look. The lunar poles contain peaks of eternal light areas bathed in near continuous sunlight. Power tower mounts on Blue Moon Mark 1's top deck and extends solar arrays to 26 meters total height, which is about 85 feet total height, to capture the energy and deliver sustained power for moon base operations. Check out this video, the power tower during a successful deployment in an analog lunar environment. Okay, let's see what we got. I got the link. How big of a pizza could they fit in a Starfall device? About 10 feet wide, Dan. That one didn't deploy all the way. Neither did that one. Okay, that's probably on purpose. Interesting. That's cool. Power tower. Yeah, this feels very Kerbal, Astro. That's what I said. I was like, this looks like somebody's Kerbal contraption, man.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Hey, Mir Bon, what's up? 3-month resub. That's pretty cool, man. So, basically, this thing would land in a crater, right? And it would extend this thing up out of the crater on the South Pole and deploy the solar panels, and the crater would be in the dark all the time because it's a crater on the South Pole, right? And the solar panel would be in sunlight all the time. You could theoretically generate, if you could theoretically generate power in lunar darkness, right? You should be able to survive the lunar night. And that's one of the big things that's important to having a moon base. That's super cool that Blue is working on that. I will once again say that that's not a launch pad, but I'm pretty sure they're working on this while working on the launch pad. But yeah, hey, whatever. Stoke painted their tower red. They did paint their tower red, dude. I've known about this for a little bit, dude, but I didn't say anything. So, Julia Bergeron took this picture. Stoke's fixed service structure next for their Nova rocket is painted red. It's Apollo red, baby. They said pad cleanup is complete, if that helps. Does that make the tower go faster? No, no. It makes the tower have more horsepower. Weirdos. Have you ever thought of building something like Blue Moon and Kerbal? Yeah, I did in my career mode save a little while back, William. But yeah, we could again. That mast looks something related to... Oh, yeah. I'm not sure if it's that, Aqualux, but that is cool, though. Yeah, that zipper thing. What should you have for lunch? Lobster or the cracked crab? Lobster. Crab. Lobster. Lobster crab? What is the status of the operation to save the Swift Space Telescope? It hasn't launched yet, Sig. That's going to launch on Pegasus on the 27th, so that's a little bit later this week. Or, well, next... Don't tell me it's next weekend. Please don't say that it's next weekend. It's next weekend. Can I just confirm that? It was... I believe it was scheduled for the 20... Ah! Ah! Why is everyone launching at freaking 5 in the morning? Stop it! Just launch during the day! I feel like we haven't watched a launch here for freaking weeks because no one launches during the day, and then when they do launch during the day, it's on the freaking weekend. Frick! You freaking pricks! When will you learn? Anyway. I love launching at 5 a.m.
Discovery, go at throttle.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. Hey, Swag 42 monthly sub. Thank you very much. 6 a.m. here is mint, yeah. Do you really think there will be camera coverage of the Pegasus launch? Probably not, guys. I highly doubt you're going to get any onboards from that. I could be wrong. Why are they only committing to one attempt? Because expecting failure with rocket science is usually not wise. I'm sure there's a backup attempt, Sig. Aqualux, that mechanism is most likely derived from the ones on the ISS solar arrays, if I had to guess. That little spinny thing that extends the thing, you know what I mean? GoPro in the nose cone, yeah. Maybe. But yeah, the Pegasus launch, which is the last launch of a Pegasus and Stargazer, that is scheduled to go off on Saturday at 5 a.m. Jury's still out on whether your boy's going to be there for that. He last for Blue Moon related question. Blue Moon more and more feels like a spacecraft with interchangeable parts on the top section for whatever you need it to do. Oh, it's just got a cargo deck. The top of it is where it's just a cargo hold, dude. It's just a it's like a pickup truck. Well, or a flatbed truck, dude. That's what Blue Moon is. It's just a small flatbed. I don't think there's a backup. As far as I know, it was like a short notice thing that NASA just wants to yeet and see what happens. Jack says that day launched in August on a Thursday. Okay. I thought Blue Moon was a beer. It is. Imagine if Concorde was still flying and Pegasus could be attached to that. Now that's an air launch idea. Yeah, they tried some. The Department of Defense tried something like that 3LRD in the 70s. Not necessarily to get into space, but I don't know if you're familiar with the D-21. The D-21 is probably the closest to what you are describing. The D-21 was a, well, not saying it was a hypersonic drone, but also considering the launch vehicle, it's, yeah. 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 It wasn't an orbital class thing. It was just a hypersonic drone that was deployed off of an SR-71. Supposedly a reconnaissance drone. I don't really know what that thing was used for. I mean, it wasn't used for anything because they abandoned the project. Turns out that separating something in the supersonic regime is a little bit difficult, especially separating something that big. Yeah, that D-21, if you guys have seen an SR-71, an SR-71 is not a small plane. It's pretty big, actually. That D-21 is pretty large. Surprisingly, supersonic shockwaves cause all sorts of problems when you're trying to cross them like a jet ski. Yeah. This didn't work. This didn't work as well as they wanted it to. But yeah, 3LRD, it has been tried. Deploying at what the hell? Oh yeah, they did that too. Drop tests. Deploying at supersonic speeds is not the smartest thing. Well, I'm not going to say the smartest thing. It's not the easiest thing to do. Let me put it that way. Yeah, but still, D-21s are pretty cool. Pretty well ahead of their time considering it's a hypersonic drone. Well, it's not a hypersonic drone. On paper, it's a hypersonic drone, but, you know. The D-21 tag board, because Lop Nor nuclear test site in China wouldn't spy on itself. Right. Man, my favorite part of the whole thing with the D-21 is, so that's what we use the D-21 for. We actually use them for reconnaissance to spy on China. And, we deployed one and it went too fast. It basically broke up over China and they found it and they didn't know what to do with it. Seriously. They were just like, we don't know what this is. And then they showed the Soviets and they were still like, we don't really know what this is. And then they didn't do anything with it. Which is pretty funny to me. Yeah. You didn't know it was used operationally. Yeah. You know, they say this thing isn't hypersonic, right? Like, if you look at the D-21, it's not supposed to go hypersonic, but, if you're gonna burn or ablate titanium like that to get it to oil can, I'm gonna go ahead and say that re-entry heating is what did that. Yeah. I'm not, I'm no doctor, but that looks a lot like entry heating on titanium to me. But yeah, oh yeah, no, they used it. Oh, they... Wait. There's one at Pima? I have to go back and check that out. It's got space patina. It does have space patina. Dude, how fast do you need to be going to rip the skin off of the freaking V-stab? That's, I'd say this thing was cheeching when it lost control. In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and say that this thing probably lost control because it went way too fast and started re-entering. And to speak in Kerbal terms, it probably burned up the probe core. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and guess that that's probably what happened. Yeah. Yeah, looking at this now, I've never actually just gone up close and just kind of looked at it. No, I think that went a little too quick. Maximum speed is Mach 3.35. Cruise speed is 3.32. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and guess it probably went past that. Yeah. What happened to the self-destruct? No, re-entry took care of it. And maybe that's why the Russians and the Chinese looked at it and said, we don't know what to do with this. I don't think there was anything useful left. It probably any useful components on this thing probably burned up. That's all you had was just a titanium shell. Yeah, dude. That's crazy. What would anyone do with it? Yeah, they're probably just like, I don't know. Whatever it is, we don't know. We don't know what it is. All right. So this next thing is coming from Rocket Lab. Let's see. The Space Force called and we launched. From call up to liftoff in just 16 hours and 42 minutes, Rocket Lab has made history. The fastest response time to a Space Force Space Systems Command tactical responsive space mission. Lifting off from Complex 1 in New Zealand at 10:19 p.m. on June 19th, the mission shattered the previous TAC-RS record set by Victus-Nox by more than 10 hours. The feat establishes a new global benchmark for rapid call-up space capabilities. Oh. Rocket Lab did what Astra was originally supposed to do. And Firefly. Interesting. Why am I not following Space Systems Command? Alright, Rarest. See you, buddy. They couldn't launch safely from the A-12, so they switched it to using a B-52. Yes, that's correct, one man. Yeah, yep. Yeah, so the Space Force said, launch something, and they said, okay. 16 hours. Pretty good. Yeah, Aqualix for sure. The Victus Hayes mission. Look at that. Can't watch it with the sound, dudes. I'm sorry. It'll flag the YouTube VOD. I mean, yeah, there's sound. Yeah, absolutely. How much time of that was used putting the sticker on the fairing? Yes. That was Peter Beck at the start of the video with the phone, yes. Why does it always sound like you're on the highway? Because I have Starbase Live going in the background. The reason why I have Starbase Live going in the background is so the headset doesn't time out. This thing will just shut off after 5 minutes of no sound. So enjoy the highway music or ambience. Oh, there you go. Oh, look. Telemetry. Not sure why that's not blurred, but all right. Sir Peterbeck or his lordship will suffice. Oh, yeah. Hey, Agent Smart, 46-month resub. Like 99% sure Discord is on one of those screens at 145. Discord? Left screen. Yeah, maybe. It could be Slack or Teams, dude. Not that I know what those look like. Good job. That's Teams. Now I'm looking at all the screens, dudes. Now I'm looking at all the screens. I'm like, nah. Anybody else got anything weird? That's telemetry. It doesn't show a net time here or a met time, mission elapsed time. So it's kind of hard to say what that telemetry is from, what phase of the mission. But yeah, see, yeah, so that's pump inlet, outlet pressure, pump temps. That's your pump RPM speed. Why is it fluctuating? Yeah, I'm sure that's fine. Whatever. Mission worked, so. This is probably, these values are probably zoomed in to show just minute changes. HVB right there. Chamber pressure. Yeah, a little bit of spikes in the chamber pressure there. That's estimated MDOT right there. Fuel regen temperature. Interesting. I don't know what that one says. It says pump commands, I think. I'm not sure. We don't know the scale of these graphs. I mean, they have values
Discovery,
there.
go at
But
throttle
yeah,
up.
they're extremely zoomed in. You wouldn't get that much amplitude in your telemetry. At least you shouldn't be getting that much. You shouldn't get that much change in your fuel pump inlet pressures. It should be more or less constant. Now, there are some things that are trending upward. There are some things that are trending downward. Fuel inlet pressure is trending downward, though. Not by much, just a slight tail off there. That could be right before main engine cutoff to see a drop in inlet pressure like that. Could be right before shutting down the first stage. Unless you're Blue Origin, sorry. What is the difference in rockets with haste and normal? So the haste missions are hypersonic. Haste is an acronym for a hypersonic atmospheric test bed. Haste is an electron rocket that shoots suborbital. This is not a haste mission. This is a Victus mission. All right, Victus missions are different. The Victus style missions are when the Space Force calls you and says, "Hey, we need you to launch. We'll give you an extra $1 million or something if you launch within 24 hours of this phone call." Okay, bye. Click. Revue versus Revue. Yes. Snowy, 32-month resub, and then Agent Smart at a 46-monther as well. Thank you very much. Did SpaceX close at 154? Oh no. Something is gonna blow up. Yeah, Kerbal Guy, it's possible. Oof. Man. A little different than riding the highs a week ago. Woof. Buy the dip. I have one share, and my one share is about to go negative because we bought in at 150. I did it for fun. I have one share of SpaceX. And I at this point in time, I've made $4.60 off of it. Do you own Rocket Lab? I don't. Rocket Lab is way too high to buy into right now. The time to buy Rocket Lab would have been a couple of years ago. It's just short sellers looking to make a buck. It'll go back up. Yep. SpaceX closed at your favorite number today. Oh yeah?
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Hey Nubias. What's up, man? On the subject of resubs, also, if you two wanted to check out the UP again, I've got half gig symmetrical so you could still work, but you're more than welcome to visit. Okay. All right. Yeah, maybe. That might get you a cheeseburger, bro. It's post-COVID. That'll get you half of a cheeseburger nowadays, which is too real. I don't want to talk about that. That's the way you have to treat these sort of things. It's basically a lottery ticket, but the number changes moment by moment. I don't care. Alex, you got in a Rocket Lab at 91, dude. There are viewers that got in to Rocket Lab when it was like $4 a share. It's $100 a share right now. Which, so, let's just say that some people made some money off that money. Yeah. Or they're still holding on. You got in at 12, but for only like 6, yeah. Show the 154 video. I don't even know if that thing would get claimed on YouTube.
Plane would be destroyed. It would be a simple question to answer, using a plane specially built for the purpose. They would just attach strong cables to the wings and pull upwards until they broke.
This is like the extended version of it.
As the test progressed, the force on the wings became so strong it caused ripples in the fuselage. The engineers hoped that the wing would withstand 150% of the strongest forces it would ever meet in flight.
Now, just quick addendum on that one. 150% rated wing load is an FAA mandate. You have to, if you're engineering a plane that's designed to carry passengers, it has to be able to handle 1.5 times the maximum rated load. Now, why is that? The reason why is, well, you could be damn sure at that point that, well, if your wings get anywhere near 1.5% or 1.5 times maximum rated load, you have other problems to worry about than the wings coming off. That means you've put the plane into some type of mode that is not good.
They predict...
May I have attention, we're now loading to 130% of design limit load. The ramp rate is again 75 seconds.
Although he was no longer the leader of the team, Alan Mullally was also there to watch.
That guy ran Ford for a little while after he left Boeing. Yeah, they're gonna be, you know.
151. 152.
Look at that freaking wing deflection. Wait for it.
154. 154.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
That's why we like that number so much, because of that video. For non-aviation engineering, the limit is 250. Non-aviation engineering limit on wing load? What? So, Yogvan, what would have wings that's not... I don't know. So why would... What do you mean for non-aviation engineering? Jojo B, 40-month resub. You've been away for a while, working in the Permian Basin, inspecting oil wells and tank. Glad to be able to watch again. Much love. Jeez. All right. $150. Back when Boeing was still goated. That's from 95, so that would have been pre, that would have been pre-McDonnell Douglas hostile takeover. Because it's not a merger. Let's be real. Oh, nice, Jojo. Right on, dude. Is that where the COPVs give up? 154, yeah. Now, I don't know what that says about SpaceX. That I really hope something doesn't blow up, but, you know, it's fine. I didn't see that, John. Cool. The day McDonnell Douglas bought Boeing with Boeing's own money and word as a skin suit. Yes, that's correct. Boeing at this point is, yeah, McDonnell Douglas wearing a Boeing skin suit. That's, yeah. I believe we've said that here before. That's for static structures involving people. Oh, okay, Yogvin. Yeah. Aren't bridges like a 10-to-1 like load factor? Like when you're dealing with statics, isn't it like it's like a 1,000% or something? I suppose that really depends on the type of statics you're working with, but yeah. Bridges, I know, are way over-engineered on purpose because you do not want that to fail. Bridge failing, not good. Bridge failing, bad. Bad. No amaze. Boeing saw the F-15 production line in St. Louis and said, give me that, yeah. Or like McDonnell Douglas saw money. Anyway. All right. So, what else do we got here? All right. We have an OIG report. Oh, no. Any rigging over a crowd is 10-to-1. Yeah, I'd believe that. So this is from the OIG. Spaceflight is surging, but NASA's primary launch sites are dated and approaching operating capacity. Our new report assessed the infrastructure at Kennedy Space Center and Wallops Flight Facility and the agency's ability to meet growing mission needs. Yeah. There's a really easy way to do this. Build more launch pads. I mean, I'm just saying. I bet you never guess what they found. What is the shuttle's wing load? A lot more than that. A lot more than a regular plane because hypersonics. Okay. Results in brief. Why we perform this audit. NASA relies on large and highly complex facilities and infrastructure to launch missions from its primary launch complexes at Kennedy Space Center and Wallops Flight Facility in Virginia. NASA infrastructure such as launch pads, utility systems, and transportation networks are used by commercial industry, the Department of Defense, and the agency to transport, process, and launch various sized rockets, both crewed and uncrewed, to multiple regions of space ranging from the immediate vicinity of Earth to distant parts of the solar system. NASA faces challenges as its launch facilities and support infrastructure have aged and do not have the capacity to meet the increasing mission demands. Kennedy's main launch facilities and support infrastructure were built in the 1960s for the Apollo program, which were later modified for the Space Shuttle program that ended in 2011. Today, these facilities are becoming increasingly dated and the lack of capacity to meet the demands of the burgeoning commercial space industry. It's not NASA's job to meet the demands of the burgeoning commercial space industry, OIG. That's not NASA's job, now is it? Wallops faces similar challenges as the facility dates back to the 1940s, and in the coming years, NASA intends to increase the number of launches from Wallops by more than 150%. NASA is actively working to address these issues by investing in upgrades and expansions, including developing new launch pads, upgrading utility and transportation networks, and creating dedicated areas for commercial operations. However, progress has been slow as the agency struggles with declining construction and maintenance budgets and statutory funding barriers that prevent commercial partners from contributing equitably to projects. Wait, what? Investing in upgrades and expansions, including developing new launch pads, upgrading utility and transport networks, and creating dedicated areas for commercial operations. However, progress has been slow as the agency struggles. Yeah, they've done nothing. That's a way of saying that. The agency struggles with declining construction and maintenance budgets and statutory funding barriers that prevent commercial partners from contributing equitably to launch pads. What is that last part?
Discovery, go at throttle up.
In this audit, we assess the state of NASA's launch infrastructure and its ability to meet mission needs. To complete this work, we analyzed the past and projected launches supported by Kennedy and Wallops. Reports on the data on the condition of launch infrastructure and budgets, agreements, and financial data related to how the agency pays for and maintains launch infrastructure. We also conducted site visits at Kennedy and Wallops to view launch infrastructure and hold discussions with NASA officials and government and commercial partners. That's a run-on sentence. We also conducted site visits at Kennedy and Wallops to view launch infrastructure, hold discussions with NASA officials, and government and commercial partners. Yeah, okay. That's not so much a run-on sentence, but that's a sentence. Here, I don't even need to read what we found part. They're going to say the launch infrastructure is old and there's not enough launch pads. Okay. NASA's launch infrastructure is dated and lacks the capacity to meet the growing demands of the agency and government. Growing demands of the agency and commercial partners. The number of launches supported by Kennedy and Wallops has increased dramatically since 2020 and is projected to grow even further by 2030 due to a surge in commercial launches. The growing number of projected launches from Kennedy and Wallops could eventually outpace each site's capacity to support the launches. Based on the current launch projections, Kennedy and Wallops are expected to operate near capacity in 2028 to 2029. In the 2028 to 2029 timeframe. At Kennedy, demand for super heavy launch vehicles for NASA and Department of Defense missions is driving the need for additional launch pads that can accommodate these vehicles. But locations for new launch pads are limited and will require extensive time and resources to develop. No, they won't. we make it difficult. It would not do that. Just anyway. Wallops is pursuing upgrades to enhance operational efficiency, which could increase launch capacity while conducting a study to assess the impact of the increasing number of annual launches at the facility. Hey Ryan, what's up? I'm 99% sure the sketch on page 8 is AI generated. No, surely someone drew this by hand. You know, Bridge, the critical piece of launch infrastructure. I mean, where's the
Dad, get this keg out of here. I didn't do this. You think it's funny? Dad, get this keg out of here. I didn't do this. You think it's funny? You're trespassing on my property. Get the hell out of my yard. JT, let me have this house. JT let you have my house. My shed. I want it. You're trespassing on my property. You didn't win in my yard. All of you.
Daddy, chill.
this part?
What the hell is even that?
What the hell is even that? What the hell is even that? I don't even, yeah, okay. Okay, let's, all right. All right. At Kennedy, common use launch infrastructure that the center and government and commercial partners. God dang it. Just say government and commercial partners. Who the hell wrote this? Bro, I've been following you since 2019. How? I don't know. I hate you. Say hello to your mother for me, okay? My 12-year-old drew that picture. Don't pick on it. No, it's really good. You get a gold star. Common use launch infrastructure that government and commercial partners use to provide electrical power, gas supply and distribution, and transportation. They did it again. They did it again. And transportation to launch pads is in poor condition and lacks the capacity to support growing needs. Critical electrical power distribution infrastructure is being used beyond its design life and needs to be upgraded. A failure of any portion of the electrical power distribution system could severely impact launches and lead to delays that could last years for extended periods of time. But all the solar panels that we made around Kennedy Space Center, surely that's going to generate three-phase industrial power. There's solar panels around. We put them down over, you know, launch infrastructure and orange groves to make ourselves feel better. I mean, generate power. What do you mean? How much you want to bet the report itself is also AI generated? Very, very interesting choices of sentences here, Aqualex. In addition, existing infrastructure for the provision of nitrogen and helium gases to the launch pads is insufficient to simultaneously support multiple users, leading to major scheduling changes and potential delays. Fellas, I just want to go out on the record here that I've thought Kennedy Space Center being a multi-user spaceport is quite actually the dumbest idea that NASA has ever come up with. Yeah, I said that like back in 2018, 2017, somewhere around there. I wish I still had that Space News VOD because, yeah, I'm not trying to say frick you, I was right, but frick you, I was right. Again. Like, yeah, I've always thought that the argument that I was making is that trying to make Trying to make Kennedy Space Center a multi-user spaceport is effectively stupid because you're constricting yourself to one pad. One pad. It's going to cause a bottleneck. And look, it's causing a bottleneck. That's weird. Like, that's really funny. You know, I don't understand why NASA would even pine. My argument at the time was, why would NASA even bother if they have a runway and 2 launch pads when the Space Force station below you has 30 something in change launch complexes that are able to be used? Long story short, I thought it was a dumb idea for NASA to be a multi-user spaceport, and the only way that it's actually even remotely worked is with SpaceX taking over 39A in 2015, which I still think that's dumb, because now you have one pad for one rocket, and it's the only rocket that launches people to the moon. And if that pad somehow gets damaged or infrastructure fails, now you have no ways to get people to the moon. I'm just putting it out there. All right. I've actually been saying this for some time, but I don't know. This report is written to be read, not read out loud. Right. That's the excuse that you're going to make for the frankly god-awful grammar and run-on sentences. Now, where have I learned that lesson? I don't know rocket science, but you know, you've been here for a while. I've had an irrational hatred of LC-39C for the longest time because it's not a launch pad. You can't just take a parking lot at 39B and call it a launch pad and then call yourself a multi-user spaceport. NASA has been doing that for the last 10 years, and that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. No, they're not counting the pads at the Space Force base as a multi-user spaceport. This is Kennedy Space Center, not Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Lastly, Kennedy's roadway and bridge infrastructure was largely constructed in the 1960s and was not designed to accommodate the volume, frequency, and weight of modern heavy transportation operations. Roadways and bridges are in marginal to poor condition and are expected to receive further strain as launch rates increase and generate approximately 19,000 additional truck trips annually to transport flight hardware, propellants, and related materials. Wallops does not face the same challenges with its common use launch infrastructure due to recent upgrades. NASA has struggled to maintain and upgrade the agency's launch infrastructure due to declining construction and maintenance budgets, as well as statutory funding barriers and cost recovery practices that prevent commercial partners from contributing equitably to infrastructure projects. They keep saying that. They keep saying that thing right there. See that thing? Over the last 5 years, the budget NASA uses to fund construction projects and perform maintenance on launch-related infrastructure has decreased between 11 and 47% when adjusting for inflation, delaying maintenance and upgrades to infrastructure. In addition, while approximately 70% of the launches supported by NASA since 2020 have been commercial missions, significant statutory funding barriers prevent the agency from receiving money directly from commercial partners for use of the agency's launch infrastructure. Oh my God! The pad leases are in perpetuity. Oh, who wrote this friggin' contract? Oh my goodness. Who is... Oh God, what an idiot. Yeah, you didn't really think about that one there, did you? Nice. Oh. Have you heard that commercial partners are prevented from contributing equitably to infrastructure projects? That's a very interesting way for them to put that, Lava. Commercial has been prevented from contributing equitably to infrastructure projects. That sentence, this sentence right here, makes it seem like whoever made the contracts to lease out NASA infrastructure at Kennedy Space Center for commercial partners and launch operations basically gave them carte blanche to use the facilities in perpetuity. So I'll give you an example. All right, the Starliner program. Starliner has the C-3PF. It's the former orbiter processing facility number 3 for the space shuttle program. They make Starliner capsules in there, right? It's one of 3 orbiter processing facilities around the Cape. All right, the Starliner capsules are made there. It very much seems implied here that they let Boeing lease it and don't charge them for utilities. They don't pay any electric bill for leasing out a NASA facility, which is okay. That's dumb. Or SpaceX. SpaceX is not paying. This very much seems like SpaceX doesn't have to pay the utility bills for using electricity at 39A. And if they're building a Starship pad there with an ASU, that is going to use a lot of electricity. You didn't parse that way. All right, let's keep reading and find out. NASA initiated efforts a decade ago to establish an infrastructure investment fund that would allow the agency to accept contributions from public and private entities for long-term, large-scale shared infrastructure projects. However, legislation authorizing such a fund has yet to pass. You might be right, buddy. I hate these people so much, dude. I hate them so much. Oh my god. I hate them so much. I hate you so much. All right. Well, Kennedy received $250 million for infrastructure improvements through the H.R. 1 reconciliation bill. Officials estimate the center would need at least $1 billion to completely upgrade its launch infrastructure. Well, somebody cares. Somewhere. I believe the H.R. 1 reconciliation bill, is that not the one big beautiful bill? It's beautiful. It's tremendous. It's beautiful. It's the best bill you've ever seen. I believe that's what that is. Yeah, I know, Meepus. Lastly, NASA's cost recovery practices have limited the amount of funds collected from commercial partners for their use of the agency's launch infrastructure. In some instances, the agency's choice of agreements has limited the amount of funds that could have been collected for rent. In other instances, rates charged for indirect costs are not often sufficient to maintain or upgrade launch infrastructure. While NASA policy permits other approved indirect rates to be charged to commercial partners, Kennedy does not utilize this rate for common use launch infrastructure. In contrast, Wallops utilizes this rate for operational support and maintenance of facilities. You were saying, dude? I mean, it was a little bit of hyperbole on my part saying that no commercial partner that uses Kennedy pays for any electricity, but that's that seems to be not too far off from what's actually going on. I would like to add, just kind of, just for some additional context, part of the reason why the Space Launch System has an extremely, not extremely, an apparently high price tag per launch is because the launch on SLS is total cost involved. I.e., Space Launch System and the Artemis program use Kennedy Space Center. They use the VAB. They use Operation Support Buildings 1 and 2. They use LC-39B, right? Guess what program foots the electric bill to keep all the electricity and plumbing running in those buildings? Yeah, that's right, the SLS program. That's right, it goes in the square hole. Part of the reason why SLS carries such a high price tag, seemingly high price tag, is because it has to pay for the electricity for the VAB. And maintenance
go at throttle up.
for the VAB on top of that. If a NASA program is utilizing a NASA facility, part of that NASA facility's maintenance budget gets roped into the program cost, because SLS won't get very far if you don't have a VAB, right? Or a mobile launcher, or a 39B. You could have had a 39A, but we decided to, lease that out to people that don't pay for the electric bill. Yep, maintaining roads. The SLS program goes to maintaining all the roads around Kennedy Space Center. Yep. Oh, yeah. Roads, electrical infrastructure, plumbing infrastructure, drainage, all the maintenance costs for the VAB, all the utility bills the SLS program is shouldering that budget. Yep. Part of the reason why SLS is so expensive, because it's total cost involved. Now, if I find out from this damn OIG report that none of the commercial partners really, they can use NASA, they have carte blanche to use NASA facilities in perpetuity for nothing, for no additional charge, and that there's legislation that prevents NASA from increasing the rent, so to speak, I'll be a little pissed off, because, well, I won't be pissed off, to be honest with you. What I am going to be, that's really funny, because that means the SLS program is basically holding up all Kennedy Space Center operations that have to do with commercial partners. That's good. What we recommend to improve the condition and capacity of NASA's launch. I swear to God, if this report just says NASA just should spend money and fix the roads, I'm going to be a little pissed off. All right, let's see. To improve the condition and capacity of NASA's launch infrastructure to support current and future needs, we recommend the Kennedy Space Center, 1, conduct a study to understand the effects of heavy vehicle traffic associated with sustained increases in launch-related transport activity on Kennedy roadways, and establish a mitigation plan to address the impacts. A study? Dude, just drive down the road. Just drive down the road. Two, prioritize funding from the H.R. 1 reconciliation bill to address common use launch infrastructure issues at Kennedy, including electrical power distribution. I freaking called it, dude. They ain't paying the utility bill. Including electrical power distribution, gas supply distribution, and transportation infrastructure. And 3, assess the ability to charge an other approved indirect rate on reimbursable agreements for launch services that are dedicated to maintenance and upgrades of common use launch infrastructure. So the line was from the KSC gate to the new bridge over the Indian River, speaking of traffic. We provided a draft of this report to NASA management, who concurred with our recommendations and described planned actions to address them. We consider management's comments responsive. Therefore, the recommendations are resolved and will be closed upon completion of and verification of the proposed corrective actions. Fellas, see, this is very interesting to me. Yeah. I mean, how is it any, like, look, I don't want to sit here and say that the entire multi-user spaceport commercial space program that's going out of Kennedy Space Center is a gigantic farce that's being artificially propped up by the SLS program's budgets, but how is it not that? Seriously, how is it not that? The whole point of commercial was to save money. All right? Yeah, and one program saves money, but the other one foots the power bill and all the maintenance, and that program is ballooning in costs. Well, not ballooning in costs, but that's more expensive. So how is that any different than just using the launch pads to launch your own rockets in-house? Do you see what I'm saying? It's very interesting because at least on the Kennedy Space Center front, that means that the SLS program is basically propping up the infrastructure to make the commercial avenues at, let's say, 39A, so SpaceX, the Starship, and the Falcon 9 pad. The SLS program is propping up the maintenance costs for all those facilities, which is there's the spider. Go over there. Eat more ants. That's weird. So about that commercial being cheaper, it's not. It pushes. Free electricity partially explains why Cybertrucks are everywhere. That's very strange. It's almost like a multi-user spaceport was a dumb idea. Now, to be fair, and you know, I don't want to say frick you, I was right, etc., etc. I said that it was dumb for NASA to do this because you don't have enough pads to support a sustainable lunar program. Stop coping. The Air Force, or now the Space Force, has like 30 pads that are just due south, and you're never going to be able to compete on price because you have 2 pads to lease out and they have 30. DoD gets a bigger budget. What do you expect? Right? Don't tell Brimo about the spider. It's up here. She don't care. Who is paying for the repairs on the pad that Blue Origin blew it up? Oh, Blue is paying for that. That's Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. That's not Kennedy Space Center. We're talking about this. So, let me give you guys a quick overview of who are the quote-unquote commercial customers at Kennedy Space Center. There's 2. Well, 3 if you want to be very, very technical, that do anything. SpaceX at 39A with Falcon Heavy and Starship. That's the big one. Boeing using the C-3PF, which is the former OPF-3 Orbiter Processing Facility 3, Commercial Crew and Cargo Processing Facility. It's where the Starliner program is. And OPFs 1 and 2 are being used by the Space Force for the X-37 program. Now, how that works between government agencies, I have no idea. I would assume that because the X-37, Boeing, it's a government program, that it's probably something similar to SLS. But I don't know for sure. We are spending at least $1 million a day for cleanup. I believe that. No, it's all good, Willie. Don't worry about it. I didn't see anything on that report saying private companies aren't paying for power. I've said many times, one man, that it's hyperbole on my part, that they are not paying the utility bill. It's not necessarily the utility bill, it's the power infrastructure. How the electricity gets there. All right, the transformers, the substations, they don't generate the power on site. Well, NASA has some coping mechanisms that are on Merritt Island that they have some coping mechanisms here and can offset some power here and there. The coping mechanisms are up here in these former orange groves. Do I hate solar power? No. No, I do not hate solar power. Solar power operating your heavy industrial... Solar power powering your heavy industrial launch site is a dumb idea because it's a heavy industrial launch site. Does that make sense? Solar power is great for residential use. Abso-freaking-lutely all day, every day. Not for operating the VAB. That's a dumb idea. Honestly, I think our view is getting distorted by hindsight. I said it was a dumb idea before. It's still a dumb idea now. Albeit for a different reason, but yes. Can I ask why it's dumb? So Newt, I kind of went into it a second ago, but I'll get into it again.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
NASA pays for the roads. Okay, like, look. Kennedy Space Center here. Let's go here. Where's Kennedy Space Center? I'll just kind of draw a path that shows more or less what Kennedy Space Center is, okay? That, more or less, is Kennedy Space Center. Okay, see that? It's not Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Hey, Razlak, thank you for the 115 months. All right, that, more or less, is KSC. All right, that's the area surrounding it. Technically, this bridge is also part of Kennedy Space Center, and the train tracks that go all the way to this Y right here are part of KSC. Now, okay, so... how does NASA pay to maintain all of that? Well, the short story is the SLS program. Artemis. Artemis keeps the maintenance cost for all of this. The bridges, facilities on board, the launch pads. NASA foots the bill. Road maintenance. The Artemis program is footing the bill for all of this. The OIG is basically saying that NASA can't do that. Like, there's not, like, you have commercial partners like SpaceX and Boeing that are using their facilities that aren't contributing to the maintenance costs. SpaceX uses these roads to move Falcon 9 boosters to and from 39A all the time, right? They move payloads around on it. They move boosters around on it. They're not paying for the maintenance on the roads. I mean, technically SpaceX, you know, it's kind of par for the course. SpaceX doesn't really pay for the maintenance on Highway 4 either. If you know, you know. It's a joke. I get it. Right? So there's the electricity, the infrastructure, the transformers, the power grid, none of that gets maintained, even though the commercial partners are utilizing these facilities way more than NASA ever could, right? SpaceX launches a lot from 39. Well, they did launch a lot from 39A. They don't do it much anymore. But like I said, the SLS program is basically paying for maintenance on everything here. And the commercial partners don't have to pay maintenance on anything. And they're paying their utility bills, to be very clear. That was a joke. But they're not paying infrastructure on maintaining the transformers that feed them electricity. All right? That's what this OIG report is saying. NASA has to maintain basically all of this. And guess what? SLS is what does it. I hate to be that guy, but SLS is what maintains all of that. All of this area and has a whopping 2 launch pads. There were supposed to be 5, but can't do that. So all the trucks that Blue, and because Blue technically has their facilities on KSC proper, Blue's launch pads are not on Kennedy Space Center. Blue's launch facility, or well, former launch facility, asterisk that, is over here on the Space Force Station side. But if Blue is going to move a New Glenn out there, they can't move a New Glenn across the NASA Causeway right here. You can't do that. The bridge is not good enough. They have to, Blue, if they want to move a core that way, they'd have to go up through here, down the road, right, and down onto the Space Force Station this way to get their boosters over there. That's how they have to do it. GS2s are the same way. So they're using all this stuff, like, and then SpaceX up here has Roberts Road and Hangar. Yes, that is exactly what I clicked on, Microsoft. Yes. Yes, I wanted to split windows. Yeah, sure. So SpaceX has all these facilities. They're all on Kennedy Space Center, but they're not paying for the power infrastructure. The SLS program is. The argument that I'm trying to make is I think that's really funny because, you know, I think that's really funny because what happens when SLS goes away? How's the maintenance bill going to get paid for? Who's going to pay for it? Who's going to pay to keep the roads paved at Kennedy? Now, the original reason why I thought it was dumb for Kennedy Space Center to be a multi-user spaceport is because all that's doing is failing to address the problem that you have a space program that has insufficient architecture to achieve your goals, and instead of actually fixing the problem, you know, commercial is a band-aid fix on the fact that NASA is unable to articulate the way they want to. That's been pretty much the case up until pretty recently, but yeah, very interesting. That's the short story. Yeah, see, electrical power. Kennedy's electrical power distribution infrastructure, which provides power to Complex 39, is aged and in degraded condition. Figure 6 displays 39's electrical power distribution system, which begins at the C5 substation, where electrical power comes in via high-voltage transmission lines from the local utility company.
Discovery, go at throttle.
High-power transformers at the C5 substation decrease the voltage and deliver electrical power to facilities via various medium-voltage feeders, cables, or lines, beginning at the C5 substation. The feeders travel underground through duct banks, which are pipe-like structures that house electrical feeders and are linked together by electrical splices. The core section of the distribution system, which travels parallel with the crawlerways to switching station 900, which then sends electrical power through the feeders to 39A and B. Hey, Taylor. How's it been? It's been, dude. Okay, so right here, you have your high voltage. This is high voltage transmission lines. They could be high voltage DC, but most likely it's 3-phase AC going into... I mean, judging by the size of this substation here, it's most likely going through a step-down transformer and then inverters. I can't really tell here. It's hard to say. That's the C5 substation. I hope this is guarded well. It absolutely is. So there's your step down. That's the step down transformer. And then... No, it's not an inverter. Is it AC to DC? AC to DC is an inverter. DC to AC is a rectifier, right? Oh, balls. Now I can't remember. I'm not an electrical engineer, sorry. AC to DC is an rectifier, DC to AC is an inverter. Cool. So this is alternating current to direct current. So this is a rectifier that goes into step-down transformers, which are over here. That's the right way to say that. Right terms, wrong polarity. Yeah. And then they said there's a switching substation out here, which I'm going to go ahead and guess is that thing. That's the 39A viewing gantry. Easy to remember, your car uses an inverter. So, up here, these lines are probably, Goalie, you said 275. So it's probably going 275 to, oh dude, I don't know. What would you, I mean, what would I send to a pad? I would send heavy industrial power to a pad, so I'm not saying it needs the full 275, but probably like 50,000 volts to the pads, if I had to guess. VAB. I mean, generally in the United States, like a regular telephone pole, like regular power lines that you'd see on a street are like 4,000 volts, 4 kV, and they go through transformers to local transformers that are on the poles to 240 to 240, and then you go 240 into a residential structure, if I'm remembering all that correctly. Brand new Rocket Lab video. Okay. That's good. DC to AC is inverter. AC to DC is rectifier. Yeah, there you go. So there, the rectifier is over here. And then the step-down transformers are here. Actually, it looks like there's 3 of them. Those are transformers right there. See those? Transformers, they step down the voltage. That's the right way to say it. You're swapping high voltage for... damn it. I wasn't going to do electrical engineering today. Amps? Amps, right? Current. Ease. Music warning on the Rocket Lab vid. I know. Yeah, amps. I got it right. Yes. Yes. Ryan used his joke on Twitter. So... he did. That's funny. So yeah, they're talking about that, dude. That substation has been there as long as I can remember. And according to the OIG report, it's from the 1960s, which is what most of this is from. There are more than meets the eye. Yeah, sure. Autobots, roll out. Critical electrical power distribution infrastructure such as the duct banks and transformers is being used beyond its design life and needs to be upgraded. The duct banks were installed in the 1960s using Orangeburg pipe, a material composed of ground-up wood fibers and coal tar that has a useful life of 50 years, but has not been used for piping work since the 1970s. Due to the age and type of material, portions of the duct banks have collapsed. God. Which makes adding or replacing a feeder through the piping impossible and would force workarounds that could take weeks or months to complete. According to Kennedy officials, a feeder failure along the path with collapsed duct banks would leave NASA or SpaceX without redundant power. Yeah, thank you, Dan. Yep. I should know that off the top of my head. Amps kill volts. Ding, that's right, bye. Where is Space Launch Complex 37? Slick 37 is down here. This is an old picture that shows the original Apollo architecture. So that's 37B and 37A. And then it shows that coping mechanism that they just crudely pasted onto the side and used for 20 years and called it 37B. I like Delta 4. That's cope. That's a coping mechanism. The real 37B is right there, okay? Not this mental illness over there, whatever the hell that is. Gross. You have this whole freaking launch complex and you built that over there? You just crudely pasted all of it over there? What's wrong with you? Donald Douglas, am I right? Gross. Which is an operationally unacceptable condition, all right? The C5 substation transformers, which are critical to powering the electrical power distribution system, are also in poor condition. 2 of the 3 transformers were installed in 1995 and are at the end of their 30-year design life. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that those 2 transformers right there are the ones that were installed in the 90s. See those 2 that look very similar? Yeah, Jack, that's right. Looked it up. It's a fully AC substation, no rectification happening. Triple redundant transformers and a redundant switching system. Okay, so the rectifiers are localized in this design, Deadbringer? That's a... Okay, second question. Is that normal? I will bet nothing will happen until it becomes a real big problem. That's normal? Localized rectifiers? Okay. It's a very interesting distribution system. Triple redundant transformers. So these are step-down AC transformers, okay. Star pipe? What? SpaceX has an LNG line going to Starbase and they're calling it Star Pipe. You mean to tell me when you don't maintain your infrastructure, it can fail? You just built a new substation around 400 feet south. I saw it. Oh. Well, somebody thought of it. They should build a big Tesla coil to transmit power. Drew, do you think that that is the smartest thing to do around rockets? Have a Tesla coil next to a rocket so it can arc an electrical to the rocket? I don't think that's a good idea, dude. I really, you know, that would be cool. I'm not gonna lie to you. That'd be cool, but I don't think we want that. Like, I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. You did, Ordon? Let me see. I like that. That's funny. There's been a contract to replace it. Replace the C5 substation primary transporters phase 1. It looks like somebody got the contract because there's one right there. Night, Wertaz. No, Dan, it's good. It's good. Your sewer pipe was Orangeburg. Fun to replace that. Only a 40-foot run. Oh, jeez. Involuntary EV rocket. All right. Corrosion is apparent on the equipment and expected to worsen due to the harsh surrounding environment, including heat and humidity. Then put it inside something. I mean, you really can't, but... No, put solar panels over it. That'll work. Kennedy officials stated that the failure of the Transformers could severely impact launches with any disruption lasting at least a month. Figure 7 displays examples of the collapsed duct banks and corroding Transformers. That's not too bad. That ain't too bad. That's fine. You keep topping the oil off, that thing will work for another 30 years. It ain't no thing. I'll be 100% honest, that Transformer doesn't look bad. How do I know? Dudes, you think Kennedy Space Center is bad? There are Transformers. So I have a buddy that works for, let's just say he works for the power company in Boston, okay? I get pictures from this dude of Transformers that were installed that are still in use from when Thomas Edison was still alive. Yes, you heard that right. There is a switchboard and a transformer in Boston somewhere, I won't say where, that was put in when Edison was alive. It's from 1927. That's powering the city. Tubes, knob and tubes. Oh, yeah. Most of the Transformers in Boston Rocket Science are from the 1950s. No, I'm not making that up. Yep. Nobody wants to touch the disposing of that thing. That's correct. Yeah. If they upgraded, the T would stop working. That's correct. I get my buddy sends me pictures of the substations and the transformers around the city. Most of them are underground, and it's not great. It's not great. I won't say who, what, where, when, or why, but yeah, there are transformers that say Edison Power Company on them. Yeah, you think you see? That's why I look at this and I go, that's not bad. It's from 1995. That thing's brand new. That's junk, though. That is also really damn cool. It is cool, and it's cool that they're still working. Yeah. Dude, there are some Transformers that are Westinghouse that were made in the 50s. Yeah. Most of Boston's power infrastructure runs on Transformers that are over a century old. Yeah, like, I'm talking critical power infrastructure. There's more of a demand. I think there's more demand for manufacture capacity for Transformers. Dude, we should. You guys want to do what SpaceX did for rockets, like with Transformers? Just vertically integrate a Transformer company? That'd be a hell of a startup. That would really transform the industry. Electrically, yes. Hey, Okie, glad to see you back. Hope the weekend went okay. Oh, and I've got a relative that works at Delta Star, a company that makes Transformers and has a pun in the name. Sorry for the repost internet hiccup. All good. You know, my next thought is asking how hard can it be to make a damn Transformer? But I know good and well the electrical engineering rabbit hole that is involved there. I know enough to know about electrical engineering to know that I know dick about electrical engineering, and that there's a reason why transformers have a lead time. You can literally build one ourselves. We're not building a 400 volt or 400,000 volt step down transformer in the garage. I mean, I think Tesla is at least making their own transformers for the new version of Megapacks. Mason, you'd be my point man on this project. I'm not even kidding. What's the long lead on making a transformer? It can't be the oil, right? You need a transformer has to have oil in it to cool it. It has to, that's a big thing. If a transformer leaks out all of its oil, it lets out all the fairy dust. Copper is the lead item? That's it? That's it? There you go. If you want to know the power of electromagnetism, watch Styropyro's 400 car battery vid. Oh, I've watched that. Oh, I've watched that. That's not fusion, but it's almost fusion. 3LRD. Yeah. That Styropyro video is fantastic. I love it. I love it. We can get copper from asteroids. Okay, here's EJ's next idiotic question for this thing that he's decided to do that he'll probably not do. The next idiot question is, okay, where are all the copper mines? Oh yeah, we are Styropyro appreciators in this channel. It's in the UP. Big one in Utah. Nah, it's not copper. You can make them out of aluminum too. If I recall correctly, it's not making the transformers that's the issue. They're actually rather simple. The factory itself is the bottleneck, and no one wants to build the factories that'll go unused as soon as this maintenance push is over. Yeah, cousin. Instead of bringing a car for Artemis 3, you bring a transformer to the Cape. Yeah. So, Aqualex, I'm going to go capitalist on you, and you're not going to like this, but, you know, not saying there aren't drawbacks. Okay. What if we design transformers that don't have a 50-year shelf life, that have a 5-year shelf life? Right? That need to be constantly replaced, but are cheaper to replace. Right? What if we do that? That'll make it so your factory has constant demand. Think proliferated low Earth orbit, right? Starlink satellites. Starlink satellites have not artificially, they've induced launch demand to be not sinusoidal, but constant. That's planned obsolescence. Boom. Would you rather have no transformers? Okay, John. Or we could just do it right and build a transformer that lasts another half century. And then you'd have to rely on growth to keep your factory going. I wouldn't want 1 century, dude, because that's more than a human lifetime. You could lose the skill generationally, dude. Not a good idea. The EPA won't let you build transformers in the US. Yeah, with money, that's not really true, but yeah. Dude, that's, I mean, you can always start small and make ceiling fans good again. Anyway, that's a good idea. We should look into that. No, Lego, I haven't heard that yet. Due to the dire condition of the electrical power distribution system, Kennedy is planning construction projects to replace the LC-39 duct banks and the C5 substation transformers for a combined cost of $136 million. However, these projects are not expected to start until the end of fiscal year 2026 and will take years to complete. In the interim, the current infrastructure will remain in use to support launches of Artemis, Human Landing System, and the growing commercial space industry, leaving launch operations and schedules vulnerable for delays. Hey, Bradley, what's going on? Yeah, Vanguard, but why not just eliminate the sinusoidal demand nature of transformers to begin with? You found yourself some Yinglings. I hope Anakin doesn't show up. They're mine. How could you slaughter Yinglings? Interesting. In addition to the poor condition of the electrical power distribution system, power demand from commercial launch operations such as Starship, they're not paying the utility bill. Yeah, you guys remember when you said that was something? I don't think that's what's going on. Okay, all right. It's expected to soon exceed LC-39's electrical power capacity. The C5 substation has a capacity of 30 megawatts of power, with 9 megawatts available to be shared jointly between 39A and 39B. The percentage allocated to each pad varies according to operational needs. For example, LC-39B required 2.3 megawatts for the launch of the Space Launch System during the first Artemis mission. Given variables such as SpaceX's desired propellant loading time, a single Starship could exceed the power available at 39A, leaving the current supply insufficient. Yeah, dude, that's for sure. SpaceX is planning to initially work around the limited power supply by using Tesla Megapacks, which are large-scale rechargeable lithium-ion battery storage products that can store up to 3.9 megawatts of electricity. However, SpaceX's future concept of operations expects the long-term electrical power need for 39A to increase substantially due to enhancements at the launch pad, including on-site propellant generation that will require significant power demand. The existing feeder capacity and the new feeders that will be installed as part of the project to replace the 39A duct banks will not be able to support SpaceX's planned extensive development of this area. A new substation has already been put in. All the underground stuff has been worked along the crawlerway when they widened it. I believe you. Therefore, upgrading electrical power distribution infrastructure from the local utility company will be necessary to increase capacity. Kennedy officials stated that planning for the upgrade project has begun, with discussions occurring between the local utility company, Kennedy, DoD, and commercial partners. Damn, dude. That's a lot of GN2. The GN2 lines go all the way down to Complex 36. Wow. Wow. The air gas facility is over here. And if I'm looking at all this right, the pipes are underground. And the air gas facility has a step-up transformer. Or it could be a step-down, I don't know. They have a transformer attached. It's to run those condensers back there. The skid strip, Kuro, is south of Complex 36. Yeah, those nitrogen lines. The nitrogen lines got to be in here somewhere. Well, see how this... Well, yeah, they are there. See how this road is... Or this clearing is way wider than the road? There's your lines. Your helium and nitrogen lines are underneath this. And that. Jeepers. And then the supposedly is also one that goes underground right here and comes out over there. And there's a junction right by the Delta Operations Center. There's a junction right here at a substation. Okay, that makes sense. Kennedy's common use infrastructure for the provision of gaseous nitrogen currently cannot support high flow operations from multiple users. Limitations with the system's pumps, vaporizers, and storage tanks limit flow rates and restrict the number of launch vehicles that can be supported concurrently. For example, Kennedy would be unable to provide GN2 for future SLS launches from 39B while simultaneously supporting New Glenn's launch vehicle launching from Complex 36 at space. NASA provides all the commodities to the Space Force Station? Question? How does that work? Oh my goodness. Guys, you tell me if this train of logic makes no sense. If NASA is providing all of your GH2, or not GH2, GHE and GN2 to the entire Space Coast, that basically means that the SLS program is footing the bill for all the commodities for all the commercial partners that basically isn't fuel on every single launch pad. Am I understanding this right? Because the SLS program is what foots the bill for Kennedy Space Center because they're using it. That means that the costs for SLS are basically every commercial provider basically gets a discount. Well, not a discount, but they don't have to pay for the maintenance of this stuff because the SLS program is doing it. Oh. Ugh. I wonder if the NG4 explosion broke this. Oh. I really hope they have check valves in this system, dude. I really hope they have backflow and check valves, or else we're in trouble right now. When was the last launch we had from the Space Coast? Honest question. So Bluebird 8 to 10 launched on the 17th. Okay. Has that been the only stuff going out of the Cape? I'm looking right now. So Bluebird 8 to 10. That was a good launch, by the way. I didn't cover it. It was during the... yeah, I wasn't here for that. That was my wedding anniversary. Vandenberg. So Starlink 10-54 launched out of Complex 40. 10:35 on the 8th. 10-43. That. Man. And then LA07 on the 29th. Wow. There really isn't a lot of launches out of the Cape. They've been launching more from Vandenberg nowadays. That's... Did those words just come out of my mouth? Huh. Kennedy's common use infrastructure for the provision of GN2 currently cannot support high flow operations for multiple users. Yeah, okay. Likewise, the GN2 system cannot simultaneously support launches of New Glenn and Vulcan Centaur at 41. Blue Origin officials stated this issue created a major scheduling challenge during the preparation for the NG-1 mission that launched in January 2025, and further expressed concern that during future SLS launches, there could be a 1 to 2 month blackout periods from the pipeline. Yeah, see, that really is a bad, that's not great. And it's very, very prudent of Blue to bring that up because, New Glenn launches the lander and SLS launches the people. That's good. You kind of need those to launch sometime near each other. Just, am I wrong? Kennedy has proposed the construction of a new GN2 system to supplement the current capability during outages, maintenance, and multi-user high-flow events. The project would install a liquid nitrogen storage tank, pumps, vaporizers, and a control system to operate the GN2 system. However, the project is estimated to cost up to $25 million and is currently unfunded. Maybe 3LRD. Maybe. '60s, Fluffy. Similar to the GN2 infrastructure, Kennedy and commercial partner officials have stated that the volume of GHG produced at the converter compressor facility is insufficient to simultaneously support multiple users. To support Artemis launches in January 2026, Kennedy completed an $11.1 million construction of facilities project that installed 6 new gaseous helium pumps in the converter compressor facility. The additional pumps provide redundancy in the GHG system and triple the amount of GHG flowing into the pipelines that support the launch pads around Kennedy and Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Once GHG is in the pipeline, however, the entire pipeline is pressurized into a uniform pressure. Therefore, Kennedy is unable to support multiple simultaneous launch vehicles that have different GHG pressure requirements. This issue is more challenging in launch scenarios involving Blue Origin, as the GHG pressure requirement for New Glenn is lower than the pressure provided by Kennedy's GHG pipeline, as well as what is typically needed by other companies in NASA. According to a Kennedy official, the agency would ideally provide gaseous helium at a uniform pressure to all launch pads. If lower pressures are needed, commercial partners would need to be responsible for operating control valves within their launch pads that would regulate GHG to required pressure. However, the equipment needed to regulate GHG to individual pressure requirements is not currently installed, and it is yet to be determined whether NASA or commercial partners would be required to fund the up. And it is yet to be determined if NASA or commercial partners would fund the upgrade. What does this mean? It's yet to be determined whether NASA or commercial partners would require the... You're getting free helium. It should be the commercial partners to put in their regulators for the rocket that they designed. Why is that NASA's problem? What a... Kennedy's roadway and bridge infrastructure was largely constructed in the 1960s and was not designed to accommodate the volume, frequency, and weight of modern heavy transportation operations. Yeah, that's why they barged in everything. Kennedy consists of 231 miles of paved roads and 6 automotive bridges that serve both Kennedy and Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. As launch activity has increased, particularly in support of a growing number of commercial partner missions, the condition of this infrastructure has deteriorated at a rate exceeding original design expectations. Kennedy officials described the roadways as being in marginal to poor condition, with many of the roads having potholes and other defects that, if not repaved, may endanger the underlying road base. However, the extent of that degradation is not fully known because a Kennedy pavement condition study has not been conducted since 2011. Kennedy officials stated that such studies are needed to provide a comprehensive understanding of roadway conditions at the... Dude, just drive down the road. and a data-driven basis for prioritizing maintenance and repair activities. Roadway degradation at Kennedy is largely driven by sustained use from heavy trucks, including construction-related deliveries, propellant deliveries, and over-the-road tanker traffic. These vehicles must transit through Kennedy to access 39A and 39B, as well as the launch pads at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, making the center's roadway a critical choke point for launch logistics. As shown in Figure 9, over-the-road transports at Kennedy have increased exponentially as the number of launches have increased at 39A and Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, with transports rising from 1,956 trips in 2019 to 8,752 trips in 2025. But we let the train lines go by the wayside. I'm noticing a pattern here. It seems like when they pulled the plug on Constellation, it seems like a lot of KSC's maintenance budget went out the door too. I'm just saying. I'm noticing a pattern here. There's a very distinctive number that keeps recurring here. Right around the time of the 2010 NASA Authorization Act. That's weird. Crazy. The strain on Kennedy roadways will be further compounded by SpaceX's continued development. Dude, just bring it in by a train. You have train tracks that connect the entire stupid complex together. Oh, wait, we abandoned those. Can't use those. Why use the more efficient mode of transportation? The strain on Kennedy roadways will be further compounded by SpaceX's continued development and operational use of 39A, which is expected to generate approximately 19,000 additional truck trips annually to transport flight hardware, propellant, and related materials for the company's Starship launch vehicle. The cumulative effect of these activities will place continued stress on roadways that were not engineered for prolonged exposure to such loads. Yeah, there's this thing that's right next to the road, though, that they, engineered a long time ago that is designed for that. But, everybody says I was a meanie for suggesting that we should use that. The problem is that NASA doesn't have a slush funded. Yeah, you can keep going with that, but it didn't seem to be a problem during Constellation and the shuttle, Aquilux. Cracks. Hey, I've been there. That's cool. Kennedy officials indicated that prior projects involving sustained heavy traffic have demonstrated how quickly roadway conditions can deteriorate under these conditions. To demonstrate, they cited prior experience during a 2018 shoreline restoration project which required a sustained influx of heavy construction vehicles. The project involved approximately 35,000 truck trips to transport materials and equipment along a predetermined route. According to Kennedy officials, that volume of traffic accelerated deterioration along frequently used routes, resulting in visible roadway damage. As a result, NASA incorporated roadway repairs attributed to the truck traffic into the overall scope and cost of the shoreline restoration project, as they should have. However, NASA has not established a comparable mitigation plan to access roadway impacts associated with sustained increases in launch-related transport activity. Oh my God. Congress did not pull the plug on the Constellation program, Aquilux. Wrong branch. Kennedy's roadways were also not designed to support the conveyance of larger launch vehicles, such as Starship. For example, the Saturn V Causeway, which is approximately 4 miles long and serves as the primary access road for 39A and B, needed to be widened for the side-by-side transportation systems used for Starship. Typical design standards for many of the primary roads on the center include 12-foot wide lanes separated by 10 to 20-foot medians. To support Starship, the Saturn Causeway will need to be widened by approximately 8 feet.
I'm pretty sure that's already happened. Increasing its width from 26 to 34 feet. Given the high priority of this project, the agency approved an easement agreement with SpaceX in 2024, permitting the company to assume full responsibility for funding the project and completion. There you go. S-Master, how far can you drive a car without a clutch? Asking for a friend. SpaceX completed the Saturn Causeway Road widening project in 2025. While this project improved capacity along a critical corridor, it represents a localized solution and does not address all of Kennedy's potential future conveyance issues. You know, all I'm going to say is that the more I read about this, the more SpaceX's Louisiana site that they're kind of cooking up now makes way more sense. They're going to get to the point where the Cape infrastructure is not adequate. I'm pretty sure they're already at this point. Bridges at Kennedy face similar challenges. All bridges serving Kennedy, except for the newly constructed Indian River Bridge, are close to the end of their design life and require increasing resources to support operations and maintenance activities. In addition, many of the bridges were not designed to support the size, weight, and frequency of current and projected heavy transport operations. For example, NASA owns and maintains the Banana River Bridge, which is the main conduit of traffic between Kennedy and Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. The bridge was constructed in the 1960s and has exceeded its design life. NASA plans to repair the bridge over the next several years to restore its load-bearing capacity. However, the project has not been fully approved or fully funded. A number of minor repairs to the bridge, each costing approximately $1 million, have been performed. While these repairs are intended to address structural concerns in the near term, they will not resolve the bridge's underlying design limitations. Kennedy officials stated the bridge's steep grade and limited width make it unsuitable for current and future NASA and commercial partner requirements, including the transport of larger launch vehicles such as New Glenn. As a result, Kennedy officials indicated that a full replacement of the bridge will ultimately be necessary to meet operational requirement. What? Why? No? They're talking about restoring this bridge here. It's this one. That bridge. We're talking about that's the bridge in question, right? That's the Banana River Bridge, all right? It connects Cape Canaveral Space Force Station to Kennedy Space Center, right? They're talking about restoring that to be able to move heavy lift vehicles across. This bridge already does it. See this road right here? This road was upgraded and widened by SpaceX last year to be able to allow stuff like that to go through. New Glens are moved on this. Why, if that's already there, why are we upgrading the Banana River Bridge? Just fix it. You can't, it's impossible. But what's impossible? Upgrading the bridge? Why would you do that if there's already a viable pathway? Until such a replacement occurs, oversized transport such as New Glenn will need to be routed along a 20-mile detour, risking mission impact. What? No, it doesn't. Risking mission impact? Shut up. What does that even mean? Oh no, it's an extra 20 miles. The mission. What do you mean the mission? That takes an hour. Actually, it takes about 2 hours. There's a bridge that's near 39A that's not good. I know the one you're talking about. You're talking about the one near Gator Hole. It's over here. So I'm pretty sure fixing that bridge is a little bit easier than fixing the other one. Put it on a barge then. You know what, Sig? I'm kind of with you on this one, dude. You have all this water. You're looking at this the wrong way. You have all this water. There's a turning basin at 39A. Just, why not just build another turning basin here and move the ship on a freaking barge across the Banana River to the freaking heavy dock that you have here that NASA and Space Force have been doing nothing with since 2011. You have a heavy, look, all I'm saying is you have a heavy dock here, right? And you have a heavy dock there. You have these waterways. Use them. Including potential launch delays. Yeah, okay. Although NASA owns and maintains the bridge, Kennedy officials noted that the need for capacity improvements is driven largely by the transportation requirements of commercial partners supporting expanded launch activity at Kennedy. That makes no sense. How is a bridge to the Space Force station there for bolstering commercial partners supporting launch activity at Kennedy? How does that makes no sense. Oh, boy. NASA and the U.S. Space Force have identified the replacement of the bridge as a high-priority project because it serves as a major transportation corridor between key launch operational areas, but no funding for the project has been approved. Why? Why would... Would you have to dredge the water? Not in the Banana River, no. It's already dredged. See? Probably have to re-dredge it. But, yeah, why not just build a heavy port right here? Just right there. Right there. Just dig a deep hole. And cast some concrete. Surely that's cheaper than the stupid bridge. And then make Blue buy a stupid barge that goes over here. That goes back and forth. You already built all the damn waterways for this. Why not build a couple more? Surely dredging a waterway is easier than making a freaking bridge. Unless I'm completely going bananas here. You could dredge a waterway all the way to Blue Origin's facilities right here. And just put a heavy port right there, just like the turning basin. That's what they did there. What do you think? Do you think that's all artificial? This wasn't here. For the most part, Sig, yes. The Space Force, in collaboration with NASA, is working to identify viable workarounds should the bridge replacement not be completed by the required need dates. Kennedy estimates that the roadway and bridge repairs could cost $200 million over the next 10 years. All right. Wallops, all right. I just wanted to read about Kennedy. Wallops will get fixed. I know that'll get fixed. They seem to indicate that at the beginning of the GAO report, but it's too hard. It's too hard. I want cocoa. I gotta go poopy. NASA, probably. What I don't understand is that why is the Space Force afforded? Why is the Space Force depending on NASA for their commodities for the pads that they leased out? Why is that a thing? Because the Space Force just handed out commercial pad leases left and right. You know, you have Relativity, you have Stoke, you have SpaceX, you have Blue Origin, right? Firefly's down there nowadays, too. What? They just threw out the leases and just said, oh, yeah, NASA will provide you all the commodities you need. It's a 30-year project to dredge up there because it's all protected. Environmental studies would be crippling. National security trumps environmental issues. It's a matter of defense, don't you know? It's a national defense imperative to beat China to the moon. Tell me I'm wrong. That's ridiculous to me. I did not know that NASA foots basically the entire utility bill that supports Kennedy and Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. That's bullcrap, dude. Why does NASA have to pay for that? That's, oh. So today we learned that the entire infrastructure budget for all of the entire Space Coast wrenches on the budget of the Orange rocket. Yep. All this money, guys, is coming from that program because that program uses Kennedy Space Center, and that's what foots the bill. If a NASA program uses a NASA facility, they have to pay for the maintenance and upkeep. Now I'm really worried about off-ramping SLS. I don't think that is a good idea at all. Because unless somebody in the government does some extreme due diligence here, if we try to off-ramp SLS because of its high cost, all that cost is going to get paid forward to commercial contractors, and then the commercial rockets are going to be just as expensive. Am I wrong? Isn't this a good thing, meaning that they'll never cancel SLS? They might. Would you bring any of this up to Jared the next time you talk? I don't know if I would ask Jared these questions, dude. I probably would condense it into one question. You know, NASA has to foot the bill for all the infrastructure down at the Cape. Well, commercial partners don't. What are there plans to have the commercial partners pay for their roads and electricity or something? Keep reading underneath the Wallops part about the budget. The deferred maintenance is $4.7 billion, and it also talks about Commercial Space Launch Act leases versus extended use leases. The latter would allow more partner investment in shared infrastructure. Look, you know, guys, the commercial partners got to foot it. If they got to pay for this. If you're the one using it, you got to pay for it. That's what happens with NASA. But we seem to have forgotten that, and I worry that these contracts to get these commercial partners out there were done in haste because we wanted to prove that commercial was a cheaper solution. Now, my argument is that basically, unless you're SpaceX, it's not. But, like the fact that Blue's rocket requires differential helium pressure than the commodity that's quote unquote than the helium commodity that's quote unquote on tap, and that somebody was even thinking for a second that NASA needed to pay for that is ridiculous. Drunk Soul, off-topic question. My landlord and homeowners association both sent me a letter asking me to remove the U.S. flag that I have displayed on my room's window, prepping for the 4th of July. How do I handle this, bro? I'm thinking about going legal. This is not legal advice. Do nothing. Do nothing. What are they going to do? It's for the 4th of July. Right? You say it's for the 4th of July, take it down after the 4th of July. Do nothing. Yeah, Lava Eagle, that's not. Those are HOAs, which homeowners associations. The idea behind an HOA is that you have a gated community with a homeowners association, and that homeowners association basically goes around and makes sure that nobody makes their house look too crappy to make sure that everybody's property value stays up. It's stupid is the word that comes to mind. Yeah, it's basically, yeah, keeping up with the Joneses, but enforced. No, there's no after hours tonight. Beating, I want to get up and watch the Starfall mission in the morning. Not everywhere in the United States has an HOA. I do not have an HOA. I have cinder blocks on my front lawn. I don't care. An HOA would absolutely care about that. I don't care. Yeah, Drunk Soul, I wouldn't go legal. I would do nothing. Just ignore them. What are they going to do? You can find them depending on their rules. The flag will be down after the 4th of July. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I would never join an HOA because I really, really do not like the idea of somebody telling me what I can and can't do on my property. That's a way to live, I guess. How many do you have? I don't know, dude. I was using them for something. It's like 3 or 4 of them. They're just around a tree in my front yard. So, Drunk Soul, what you probably should do is go read the HOA bylaws and see if you're actually violating any particular code from there about displaying flags. There's certainly a part of the HOA bylaws that tell what you can and can't do with displaying a flag. So figure out what you can do and display a bigger flag. That's what I would do. They said it's illegal to display any flag on a window, and I can't use a pole or anything because it's in a lease. Man, HOAs are the worst. My brother left his Silverado parked overnight in my driveway, and I got a $150 fine from the HOA for an oversized vehicle. I would move. I would move. Oh, nice, Aurora. There you go. Or just make it a stanchion and place it on your car. There you go, Orson. Yeah, Drunk Soul, if you really want to stick it to them, read their bylaws. Read their bylaws, because oftentimes they don't even read their bylaws. They just go around going, do this, don't do that. Can you read the sign? You know? Yeah, Pie Quarter, you're telling me, dude. Sign everywhere, sign. Walking at the same we break my. Do this, don't do that. Can you read the sign? Ironic. The key to any law interpretation is would a regular person understand it that way? Yep. Mm-hmm. What's that called, Orson? I forget what that's called, like reasonable understanding or something. Yeah, I mean, drunk soul, that's what I would do. Read the bylaws. If they can't have you display one on your house, just stick a flagpole out of your car and hang the flag from there. But yeah, oftentimes I've seen with HOAs when people have talked to me about them that they're trying to enforce laws that don't exist. Yeah, if they're trying to enforce something on you or fine you on a bylaw that doesn't exist and they're just telling you it verbally, that doesn't mean dick. Because verbally is not necessarily a legally binding contract, you know what I mean? A signed written contract that's been notarized is legally binding. So go read the HOA bylaws, see what they say. If there's anything in there about displaying flags in windows, then you should probably take it down. But if there isn't, leave it up. What are they going to do? Then, you know, when you stick it to them, just say, look, there's nothing here about that. Sorry. I mean, the community is cool, but they have some weird rules. No kids on bicycles after 4 p.m. No utility vehicles in your driveway. No loud music. No more than 20 people in a house. For the community pool, you have 1 hour of usage in 2 days. Unless you have kids, then you have 4 hours. Drunk Soul, if you like your current, housing, then you like your current housing. All I'm saying, dude, is that sounds a lot like prison. That sounds a lot like prison. You can only be here for this amount of time. You only have this amount of time here. You only have this amount of time here. For the most part, solitary confinement, etc., etc. That sounds a lot like prison, dude. That's all I'm saying. In prison, your HOA fees and expenses are covered by the government, so prison's actually a better deal. You're paid, yeah, exactly, Andrew. You're basically, if you're in an HOA, you're basically paying for your incarceration. Drunk Soul, hey, if that works for you, brother, it works for you, but hey, I'd move. Honestly, I don't want to be around people that are going to get upset at an American flag in my window. I don't want to live with people like that. Oh, those plumes look great. You're moving soon anyways? Oh, if you're moving soon anyways, dude, just leave it. Just leave it. Don't pay the fines and then just leave. Life gives you lemons, you just say frick the lemons and bail. That's not legal advice. Don't do that. Next, they'll say you can't cook past 9 p.m. because you'll make your neighbors hungry. Yeah, I know, dude. Funny story. They tried to push EVs for everyone. So they wanted to fine you for your oil leaks on the driveway, loud exhaust sounds and stuff. At least they couldn't get the votes. That's not right. Yeah, you should move. You should move. I'd swap out that American flag and put a "Don't Tread on Me" flag on there. And anytime they say, well, you can't do it, just be like, See that? Can you read that? California, man. Ugh. Yeah, me too, Hellfish. Man, I'm happy I live in the woods. Don't make me tap the sign. Yeah, exactly. All right, dudes. Well, hey, that was a pretty good Space and Rocket review. I would do after hours tonight, but what I want to do is log off a little bit early because I want to get up tomorrow morning so we can watch that Starfall mission. Starfall mission is scheduled to go off at 6:43 a.m. So I'm going to get up at 0600. Moped. I'm going to get off I'm going to try to get up here probably around 6:30. I want to watch that Starfall mission, and then after that, I'd like to do some work on the car. Maybe go make breakfast and then come back and do some work on the car or something. I'd put a 150-foot pole and a giant American flag. Yeah, there you go. 6 a.m. Eastern. Yep. I'll miss the car again. I'll probably do it tomorrow morning when it's cool enough in the garage to do it, Martin. Anyway, that's going to do it for me, dudes. I'll see you guys tomorrow around 6:30 a.m. Okay? Did you see the new two-seater SU-57 prototype? Yeah, Lexi, it looks ridiculous. But anyway, guys, I'll see you then. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this Space and Rocket review. So tomorrow, what we're going to do is the launch, car stream, maybe some video games in the afternoon, maybe, and then space news. I'm probably not going to do after hours again, so I can get a little bit. Well, that's a long stream. I'll try. We'll see what we can do. But what I'm thinking is, cover the launch. Take a second, make sure everything down at the house is okay. Make sure Brimo's okay. Everything's good there. Come back up here for the car stream for a little bit. Then maybe play Kerbal. See if we could figure out what the hell's wrong with that damn crane. And then space news after that. I'm thinking that's the schedule for tomorrow. Okay, Ernok. So, yeah. I'll see you guys then. Once again, please remember, I'm trying to get back into the groove, but this schedule is subject to change. It might not be exactly like this tomorrow. It's hard to predict day to day right now, but we're trying to get back into the groove, okay? So, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you bright and early. Good night.